Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle book review of Scarlet Witch, the complete collection by James Robinson. Now this is a volume 1, maybe there might be a volume 2 at some point, who knows, but however this is a complete story. It goes all the way through to a very complete, satisfying ending. 344 pages from Marvel Comics, obviously colour throughout. Book came out in apparently April 2021. According to the current listing, which is very weird since I've got it in my hand. So unless I'm time travelling or I've obviously got some mutant power, it's weird I've got a copy. The book inside actually does say instead, November 2020, so slightly different. However, what's inside? Well, you've got all the credits, and you will notice one big thing here. There's a lot of artists involved, lots and lots of artists. So you see all the names there, and you've got one writer, and also you of course got letterer, cover artist, editors, senior editor, and so on and so on. Scarlet Witch was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, obviously back in X-Men issue 4, Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I have to say, the cover is one of the worst covers. There's some great covers in here. However, I think they chose the worst one, personally. It makes her arm sort of look very thin. Maybe that was the intention, but just the way it's sort of whited completely out, sort of doesn't look right. However, all the covers are very similar to this, but some are better than others, I think. So I'm just a bit surprised by that choice. However, that does not affect the book, which right from the start, I think it was superb. I absolutely love the Scarlet Witch character. I've since X-Men issue 4, obviously through the Avengers, etc. Loved virtually all the stories she's been involved, and she's been all over the place, but she's never really had her own proper series on her own where she's the central character. As far as I'm aware, someone will probably put in the comment, of course she did, she had this XYZ. Well, I certainly can't remember, but it's quite possible. However, what is it included? Scarlet Witch issues 1 to 15, as well as material from Doctor Strange, The Last Days of Magic. Now that is one series that I would love to see as a complete collection. Why isn't it? Currently available, 3 trade paperbacks. One of the best Doctor Strange series for ages by brilliant artwork, Chris Bacalo. I love that work. However, also a really weird back cover is poor old Agatha and the cat. One, the cat doesn't appear, as far as I'm aware. And she doesn't look like that at all in the book. So why put her on the back cover? Very odd back. Some very odd choices. However, that is for the book itself, which, and of course, advertises the back there. Now, I'm not spoiling it because the story at the back is the Doctor Strange one. It's nothing connected particularly with the story. So that's just the extra bonus material at the back. So we've got Scarlet Witch. Well, I think that would have been a better cover, personally, the first cover. I mean, wow, what a great cover. When I first saw that, I thought, it was quite a few years ago now this book came out. It was 2016, and God, it feels eternity ago with all COVID and everything. And I just thought that was brilliant. So why they didn't use that instead of that one? Most odd choice. However, what it does show is the Avengers 7, one of my favourite all-time scenes in Marvel Comics. I love that, especially when I was growing up. Avengers, in the UK, of course, we had different issues, so my apologies if I got the issue. It was Avengers issue 13 over in the UK. I think in the States, of course, it was issue 16. And, well, I loved that one. That was just one of the classics. And one I haven't got, unfortunately, Avengers. But, however, what a great... And that's quite central to the story. It's because she's in a group. And in this book, it's just learning to be herself on her own, doing her own... No, to be fair, she ends up with lots of other characters going along, helping her along the way, but there's nothing wrong with that. But it's but she is the central character, not the Avengers, nothing to do with the Avengers, and actually very few of the Avengers turn up, which is pretty good as well. No Wonder Man, no Vision, brief appearances by some of these characters, but very little. The artwork varies all over the place. So you've got, and also the stories. Basically, it's a lot of She goes to Greek islands, Manhattan's back alleys, the Greek Isles, Irish countryside, and many, many more places. So she's all over the world, well, going everywhere. And you can see her looking a bit older there. A couple of wrinkles, as she says there. I mean, just beautiful artwork. Actually, I don't think there's any bad section in this book. They're all very different, all very unusual, which is great. I loved them. So you got that story, the first story. I mean, it's just the first one's brilliant in Manhattan. Then you got to this lovely story. This one's Theseus, see, the bull. And it's actually quite a nice appearance by a certain character, which is quite, but what a brilliant, very unusual bit of artwork there, but still brilliant issue there. The artwork, well, absolutely stunning. Beautiful blue sea there. Just, however, character appears at the end of the story that's a fairly central character, which is quite nice, but sort of developed a little bit later. Now we got here, which one is this one? Oh, this is Lagos, Nigeria, and then to Ireland. No, she's not in Lagos. She doesn't go there, but the story just shows the initial setup for the, so it's, and she's walking through Dublin. I went to Dublin Airport a few years ago. Absolutely lovely place. I loved Ireland. I worked there for a bit. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Didn't work in Dublin. I worked in Galway, and it was still absolutely great going all over the place. I love the pub at the tavern. There's some great scenes in this. Next one is absolutely brilliant, issue 4, and you've got the Scarlet Witch. A slightly different Scarlet Witch, but a Scarlet Witch no less. So you've got Scarlet Witch. Sorry, there are some spoilers in this in the sense of showing a little bit of the story. So it's not too much, but you can see Agatha there. Obviously, she's a ghost because she died a few years ago now. However, she doesn't particularly look like that anymore in the book. That's why I'm saying it's slightly odd having that back cover. But this one's a really excellent story. I love the villain. The villain's really good. Really, I love the green eyes as well. That's well done. This is a great one as well. Spain. Never been there. Logroño. And looks very nice. However, she's a vineyard. She's obviously there. Great story. That actually was a really powerful story. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The artwork is very unusual. It's a very, I can't describe it. So, yeah, it's just a very unique, weird style. You can see from the, but it's actually quite effective, and that's the key thing. It's very well done. And that's Mike Mignola. I think that's that's what it feels like at places. People probably turn around and say, no, it's not. But to me, it looks like that sort of style. However, I love the glowing red eyes all the way through it, which is probably the reason I say about Mike Mignola. Then you're on to the next one. I love that pattern cover on number 6. Got a lovely pattern cover there. And you also put the variant covers as well, which is quite nice. Now, I'm not really certain. 2 variants, but I assume this is the variant for the previous issue or the variant for this issue. I'm not certain. I have no idea. Not explained, so it's quite possible. But what a cover. I just love that pattern design. This one's a really, really good story as well, though slightly, a bit more like animated cartoon style, I think is the best way to describe it. And this one's in Paris, which is great. We've got, I feel quite sorry for them. Though saying that, I'm not certain how many great mega superheroes we've got. We've only got Captain Britain. I mean, it's okay, isn't it? But it's not many. We haven't got a vast. I suppose there must be a few more than that. Maybe some of the superheroes must be British. I'm just trying to scratch my head thinking which ones are. However, you got this one. This is obviously in Paris, and he's a bit downhearted. He's a bit downhearted because, well, obviously you have to read the story to find out the reason why. But it's a really, really good story. Really good artwork again, love it. And then on to the next story, which is really, really good, and that's in Japan. I love Japan. Japan is wonderful, and it's great because it goes to Kyoto, one of the best cities. Just beautiful. I love all the food there. I loved all the buildings, everything about it. It was such a, anyway, beautiful place. So you've got beautiful artwork as well in this. I mean, it's just absolutely glorious. Great character as well. You've got the one at the back, the bonus material at the back, The Last Days of Magic. That is connected with this. though very, very loosely. It's just the first appearance of the character. So you've got that storyline there, and that's excellent. I love that one. That was just really, really brilliant. Next story is superb as well. I love this one. Great artwork there. And it's, I assume it's back in obviously New York. Doesn't actually say, weirdly, but I assume it is. So there's a lovely scene there. Just looks like New York. Could be anywhere else, I suppose. It doesn't show much. So, and you've got this guy, the psychiatrist. A nice twist in the storyline there. So, but it's great because you've got her discussing all the various things, and some really quite intense art. Oh, there is an appearance by the Avengers in the story. But it's just a great, all the way through it. She looks very different as well. I love this. She always keeps changing the various headpieces that she has. It seems she's sometimes got different styles. Sometimes she wears one, sometimes she doesn't. But it seems a varied style there. However, maybe they're all the same. They're just different artists have drawn them in slightly different ways. Then on to the next story, and that one, I love that one. The next story is great because you've got good old Pietro comes back. It's just a beautiful story there. Again, different artists, different artwork, great story, lots of things. And I love it. Apparently it's a little crossover with another storyline, which I must admit I have not read. So it was just mentioned there. Oh, that one's beautiful as well. Look at that. And that's just touching the story, that one. I loved that one. The Nimble Young Fox story. Just beautiful. I love that sort of artwork. Just very basic, simple, just stunningly beautiful. Well, that's a great story. Definitely enjoyed that one. Love the ending. Well, the ending is, every one of these stories, very, very touching. I mean, I don't think there's not a bad story in this book at all, as far as I'm concerned. Just every one of them was perfect. Also, she learns a lot about her past. Oh, it's a bit all over the place. You start thinking, is she this? Is she that? Is that? She sorts things out. Finally, she resolves things, which maybe is a good thing in terms of hopefully, maybe in the future, the Scarlet Witch will become more permanent. I mean, I think she should have her own series. I've just never understood why there's so many characters that you think, why is it that there's always, like, obviously, I'm saying that now, there was a female Thor, of course, but there's obviously She-Hulk. I'm just suddenly thinking of all, there are, obviously, but there's loads of characters, and you think, well, Scarlet Witch, Clea, Invisible Woman, and so on and so on. Why haven't they got their own comic series? And it's just so odd. And it shows when you look at this, she could easily have, or it would be just a brilliant bit like Doctor Strange, because obviously her magic and hex and all that sort of stuff. I think that would cover sort of similar sort of territory and would be brilliant. Maybe appearances with Clea as well. You could sort of have, if she's still alive. I have no idea if she's still alive. I haven't checked recently. Maybe, who knows? I lose track of which character's alive or dead in the Marvel Universe. If it didn't happen in the 1970s, who knows? However, I love this one. This is a beautiful story as well. Goes to Serbia this time. And it's just great. Goes to this church. I just love, with a high evolutionary. And what brilliant artwork that one is. Just a great story again. And very touching story again. Then you're on to the next story. Then, I don't know what the next one is. Oh, there's that story. It continues on. So there's a little bit more of that story. And then, the next story is brilliant as well. Slightly different artwork. Krull, kneel before, etc. Oh, there's obviously Agatha's, obviously the back cover. And you've got, that one is, but still works amazingly well. And it is, you got the some of the characters of the Marvel Universe turn up in this one. But it's the thing when you've got her using her power. And the trouble is, of course, when she uses the power, it drains a bit more of her. And you can see that. The panel structure, the way it goes through, just the relentlessness, all the way through. Just absolutely glorious. I mean, there's some really great, look at that. I love that scene there. Beautiful. That is great. And she's on this, it's the whole book. It's been this sort of journey going through, learning things, going through, and she goes forward. And this is just superb. Absolutely superb. I love the cover for this one. Oh, some variant one. This one, variant cover with June Brigman. That's just gorgeous, gorgeous. 14, then on to, I love that bit. There was which is crossover with, there's a bit here with the some characters that turn up in the similar sort of characters, Doctor Strange. So it's really quite a nice bit. That's why I think the Doctor Strange elements, that sort of magic, Scarlet Witch would be a brilliant character to have as a, you know, I mean, there's along, like I say, with other characters. I suppose now, of course, there's the Strange Academy and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that'll develop more storylines, spin off with lots of different, the magic side of, and this is really good. And I love, very similar to H.P. Lovecraft, I think. There's a sort of element of that. That's what sort of, just for me, it felt like anyway. And I love the finale of that bit. Just brilliant. However, let's just get on to the, oh, that one's great as well. Actually, the last one, saying that the last story feels slightly odd in the sense that it's not odd in the sense that it doesn't fit, but it's, you've just got the story sort of resolved all the way through the book. So this, and now this number 15, which is the last of the book, has a slightly changes completely. But it's great because it's, in a sense, a solo adventure, which is truly solo, where she's suddenly facing something which she has to use all her abilities. And I think it's just a great little story, even though it's clearly, obviously similar to a certain film. I was going to say TV series, but could be a TV series as well, but a film that's a very famous film. Well, I'm not going to spoil the story. It's very good, very dark, very dark. The artwork is superb again. Just absolutely loved it. And also there's bits where, again, a lot of travelling, this like Cuba and other issues and things. Oh, just great. I'm not going to spoil that at all, but it's odd. But 114, there's a certain flow in the book, and then 15 is slightly different, but it's still a great story and actually works. And the ending is just brilliant. I have to say, not going to spoil anything about that. Just say it is a superb, thoroughly great ending. And I love books that have great endings. There's nothing worse than you get a collection that you think, sort of ending. This hasn't got that. This is just a perfect ending. Then weirdly, it puts a bonus sort of story at the back, which doesn't fit particularly at all, but actually is quite good. I loved the character, and it's because the thing was that initially I didn't notice, I didn't realise, maybe just been ignored it in a sense. I just flicked through. Oh, it's a Doctor Strange, and all that sort of. It's the Last Days of Magic, which I think is one of my favourite stories, though it's not by the same artist. I love the Chris Bacalo work on that. This one is still very good. This is a different artist, and you've got Doctor Strange, and he's like in his old. This is a period when he was fighting the Dormammu and Baron Mordo storyline. I love that. That was just a classic Steve Ditko. Brilliant run of about 15, 20 stories that just flowed through, where he just went from place to place on the run, everything. And this story is just great because it introduces the character that turns up later. And that's just brilliant. However, I would love to see that, like I say, a complete collection as well. Why isn't it a complete collection? Why isn't it omnibus? Now, this would be brilliant in an omnibus as well. I would love to see this in an omnibus, but hopefully at one time. Well, I think this is one of the best volumes for Asian Age, but I think that every time I always get another volume, I think, well, that's pretty good. That's pretty even better. That's even better. This one, I've been reading quite a bit of Scarlet Witch stories. And Vision, of course, Vision 1 recently, which of course is advertised at the back, the complete collection. That was brilliant as well. But this, I just loved it. Just great, 15 absolute, plus the bonus, classic stories. So, totally recommended. I would just rush out and buy this as far as I'm concerned, because it's one as well. For some weird reason, in the UK, it's been very oddly distributed. I don't know what's happening at the moment. It seems to be, I've looked at copies and there seems to be copies and then there's not, and then it's coming out in April. What? Hang on. And it seems to be a bit all over the place. So I just worry when that sort of thing happens. I start thinking, is this book going to be readily available, or is it just going to, go out of print very super quick? And then you suddenly find that prices go insane, because that's often what seems to happen. So hopefully that isn't the case. So if you want to get it, I would suggest checking it out pretty quickly now. So brilliant.